Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? I'm just going to open up these pages and check and make sure that everything is working, that I am streaming. And I also want to add a comment onto YouTube. Just a second, and we will get going. We're going to talk about how to find the right key you're playing in. And I got to pin this comment. How do I pin it? Pin message. All right. So, hey y'all. Hello, everybody in Instagram land. Hello, everybody. I am multicasting to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. I got to turn the volume down because I'm hearing my echo. I just want to make sure that we are officially, there we are. We are going live everywhere. All right. So I'm going to talk today about how to solo in the right key. How do you solo in the right key? We're going to talk about that today. And I might also, if I have some time, I'll answer some other questions. There have been some other questions about my book. So for those of you who don't know, I am Anthony Parker, and this is the Near Life Experience. This is my guitar instruction book, the Rock Heroz guitar instruction book, and it's selling like hotcakes right now, and which is really exciting to me. And recently a question came in about whether the book will tell you how to solo in the right key. And it does. And I want to go over the pages in the book that help you understand how to solo in the correct key, and just add to it what I would add as a teacher. Because, you know, the thing is that books can only show you so much. And we try to make them as complete as possible. But frankly, the more you put into it, the more stuff you put into a book, the more people just like get overloaded by information when they see all the stuff in the book, and they can't even, so I could put everything possible that you would need to know in an instruction book on how to know what key to solo in. And half the people are just going to be like overloaded with information, and they're not going to be able to process it. So I put what I put in there, and I'm going to kind of go over it. And we're going to talk a little more about how to find the right key to solo in. All right. So once again, this is the Rock Heroz guitar instruction book. It's my book. I wrote it. It has been developed over 15 years or more of teaching guitar. This is about the 7th edition of the book. You know, I've refined it and refined it and refined it over the years. It is available to buy on my website, anthonyparkerexp.com. Both as a PDF download if you don't want to pay shipping, or as a physical copy if you don't mind. For some people in international, like if you're living in Iceland or Australia or Canada, some places like that, the shipping combined with, like for Canada, costs more. It's weird. It's not worth it. But if you just go with the PDF download, it's a little cheaper, and because I don't have to pay to print the book, and it's cheaper because you don't have to ship it. So there it is. AnthonyParkerEXP.com is where you can get this book. And let's start going over some stuff. So, soloing in the right key. Let me find the page. I'm a little cramped around here because I've got all these, I've got this box that I'm trying to display it. Ooh, that ain't it. Oh, playing in the right key right here. Playing in the right key. And I've got a mic in my face. So I'm just trying. I don't see any chats coming in on any of Facebook and YouTube, which is a little weird. But yeah, for some reason, Facebook is not even, I mean, it's there, it's showing. I don't see, but doesn't seem like many people are tuning in, which is a little weird. But anyway, whatever, we're going to get this going. And of course, on as it's reposted, it'll whatever. All right. And I am going to, so for forget it. In Instagram, I'm not going to pin a comment because I don't want to. All right. Well, it says that there are a lot of people watching on Facebook. So chime in. There we are. There's people starting to show up. Hey, Joe. Hey, Gary. Hey, Jean. Hey, Deborah. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for commenting. Drop a comment to tell me where you're watching from. And if you have any questions, I can't promise I'm going to answer everything because a lot of the questions are going to come in kind of, before I won't even see it until a while. Hey, Steve. Hey, Chris. Andre, Sweden. Hell, right on. Connecticut, I think CT is Matt. Hey, Matt. Jean from Facebook, it looks like. FB. All right. So let's get to it. So this is weird, though. My restream shows me way behind, so I better show it on OBS because that's where I see the most up to date. There it is. Okay, so let's go over it. So playing in the right key. So the first thing I put in my book is figuring out what key the song you're playing is in. That's the first step, knowing what key the song is in, right? And I put here the song's key, the big tip. The big tip is, what's the first chord? Like in rock and roll, I would say 8 out of 10 times the first chord is the song's key. If it's an A major, the song is in A major. If the first chord is a G major, the song is in G major. If the first chord is an E minor, the song is in E minor. That doesn't always work, but that's a good starting point to help you, right? That's a good starting point to help you figure out what key the song is in. Obviously, it is not the only starting point. But, another thing. If the song starts and ends on the same chord, then it's almost definitely in that key. That's a good way to know. If you know what chord the song ends on, then most of the time that is the key as well. Especially if it begins and ends on that chord. So if it begins and ends on a G major chord, song's probably in G major. If it begins and ends on an A minor chord, the song is probably in A minor. Why? Well, we have something in music that we call a cadence, which means it's sort of like a resolution. They have different cadences, a perfect cadence, a perfect authentic cadence, which is like the 5 chord to the 1 chord, the 4 chord to the 1 chord, that kind of thing. I'm going to explain more about those ideas in just a minute, but suffice it to say, it's the way it feels like you feel the sense of completion. And so ending on the 1 chord is a way to feel a sort of sense of completion, like, okay, the song's over. Although some songs kind of throw you for a loop and end on like the 5 chord or something like that, which can be an interesting choice. But more times than not, if it starts and ends in the same chord, that is the key you're playing in, right? But let's go a little further down the rabbit hole of the key. So I'm going to turn to the end of the book and go to the music theory section, which is also in my book. Because in fact, in this book, it says, let me read it out loud. So the big tip, the first chord, believe it or not, the first chord is often the key. If the first chord reappears often in the song, or if it is also the last chord, that's your key 9 times out of 10. For more about keys and key signatures, see pages 73 to 75 in the music theory section. So we are going to go to page 73 and look at that. So let's find the page. Oops. Key signatures. Well, actually, we're going to skip key signatures for a second because I'm going to go over that in a minute. The specific. First, though, I'm going to go over the notes in a key so you can understand. Because in order to understand what key you're in, you need to understand, that's intervals and chords. I got to back up a page. There it is. Minor keys. Let's go to major keys. You need to understand the notes of a key. The notes and the chords that are in a key, right? So, here we go. So generally, in a music theory setting, we start with the key of C because there's no sharps and no flats. So that's the easiest one. Now, when I go to the next key, I'm going to also talk about the circle of fifths and how I use it to understand what notes are in a key. Because there's a trick in the circle of fifths that I don't necessarily hear a lot of people talk about that helps you understand what notes are in any key. What notes are sharp or flat or whatever. Okay? All right, so major keys. So you've got, the key of C, C major, the notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C is the octave. So we talk about these notes, hey, a lot of waves on Instagram, hey there. We talk about these notes like, we call them degrees. So C is the first degree of the C major scale. D is the second degree, E is the third degree, F is the fourth degree, G is the fifth degree, A is the sixth degree, and B is the seventh degree. Now, in addition, that means the chord built on each of those notes is that number chord. So the C chord in the key of C is the 1 chord. The D chord in the key of C is the 2 chord. The E chord in the key of C is the 3 chord, and so on. Now, the chords of that key are all made up of the notes in that key. So the C chord in the key of C is C, E, and G. The root, the third, the fifth. C is the root, C. E is the third, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3. And G is the fifth, C, D, E, F, G. Root, third, fifth, C, E, G. And since the E in the key of C is an E natural, that means the E is E natural in that chord. Since the G is G natural, then in the C chord, the G is natural, right? So that means the 1 chord of the key of C is a major chord, yeah? The 2 chord in the key of C is made up of the notes D, F, and A. D, F, A. Those are the 3 notes. D is the root, D, E, F. F is the third, D, E, F, G, A. A is the fifth. D, F, A. Now, because the F is natural in the key of C, that means the D chord is a minor chord, because a D chord with an F natural means that the root, the third interval from the D to the F, is a minor third interval, which makes it D minor. If the F was sharp, so that's a D. So there's a D minor chord, right? So D, F natural, A. D root, F natural third, A fifth. Now, if to make it a D major, you make that F sharp, and then the A stays the same. Oops. Yeah? So that's like if some of you have noticed when you play a D minor chord, all you have to do to turn it into a D major is move the note on the first string from the first fret to the second fret, and you've got a D major. D minor, D major. The F natural becomes F sharp and makes it a D major. Okay, back to what we were doing. So that means though the D minor, the D chord in the key of C is a minor chord. Yes? So the 2 chord of any major key is a minor chord, is always a minor chord, right? So C, D minor, E, the notes in the key of in the chord E in the key of C, which is the 3 chord of the key of C, are E, G, and B. The G is natural because in the key of C, it has no sharps, no flats, so the G is natural. So E, G, and B make an E minor chord, which means the E that is in the key of C is E minor, which means the 3 chord in any major key is a minor chord. Now, maybe this isn't quite making sense for those of you who don't know anything about theory. That's not making sense yet, but I'm going to tie it all together. So remember this, the 1 chord in any major key is is a major chord. The 2 chord in any major key is a minor chord. The 3 chord in any major key is also a minor chord. And then we get the 4 chord, or what we also call the subdominant. The 4 chord is a major chord in any major key. Look, in the key of C, the 4 chord is F, and the 3 notes are F, A, and C. Now, A, the F to the A is a major third interval, which means the F chord is a major chord in the key of C. F major, F, A, and C. If the A was a flat, if it was A flat, then it would be an F minor chord. So A, C, here's an F, 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 A, C, that's major, F, A, flat, C, that's minor. Yeah, F major, F minor. So the third is always the note that designates whether it is a major or a minor. And because the A is natural in the key of C, that means the F chord, the 4 chord, is a major chord. And in every major key, the 4 chord is major. 5 chord is the G chord. G, B, and we ran out, so we got to go back here to D. G, B, D. Root is G, the third is B, the fifth is D. And that is also a G major chord, right? G, B, D. The G to the B is a major third interval, making this a G major chord. So the 5 chord in any major key is also always a major chord. So remember that. 1 chord is major, 2 chord is minor, 3 chord is minor, the 4 chord is major, the 5 chord is major. The 6 chord in the key of C is brain dead, an A. Yes? The 6 chord in the key of C is an A. The notes in an A chord in the key of C, the root is the A, the third is the C, and the fifth is the E. The A to the C is a minor third interval, making that A chord an A minor chord. Remember, by the way, if you're just joining me, I am explaining how to find what key you're playing in by understanding what chords fit in a key. Okay, that's what I'm explaining. And I'm also talking about the Rock Heroz guitar instruction book. FYI, the link is in the comments. I'm going to plug it from time to time. Basically, this is the deal. I am not making enough money on the views on my videos anymore. And so I need to start finding other ways to earn an income so I can keep doing this, which I love doing. I love talking to you guys. I love making videos for you guys. I love, replying to as many comments as I can and having an effect on a lot of guitar students. And I love inspiring you all to pick up your guitars. That's my goal, right? And in order to keep doing that and not have to go work a 9-to-5 Joe job, which I don't want to do, I need to find a way to earn an income that isn't 100% reliant on views on my little videos, which was paying good last year, but isn't paying very well anymore. So my book, the Rock Heroz Guitar Instruction Book, is available on anthonyparkerexp.com as a PDF download and a physical copy. Let's go on. So A, the 6th chord of a key of C is an A minor. A, C, and E. Yes? A, C, E. The A to the C is a minor third interval, A, B, C. That's a third. It's minor third because it's a C natural. If that C was sharp, it would be a major third. A, B, C sharp would be a major third. So here's A minor, right? This is the C. As a natural, it's minor. If we move that C up a half step to the 2nd fret, it becomes A major. A minor, A major, A minor, A major, sad, happy, sad, happy. Yes, got it? Good. Okay. I had a lot of coffee this morning. Woo! Anyway, okay? So that's A minor, the 6th chord. So the 6th chord in any major key, the 6th chord, hey y'all in Instagram land, hi! The 6th chord in any major key is always a minor chord. It's always a minor chord, yes? And then we have the 7th chord. The 7th chord is always a diminished chord. You don't see 7th chords a lot. 7 chords a lot in songs. Some artists use them, but you don't always see 7 chords. But in the key of C, the 7th chord is B, D, and F. Now, what you should understand is for this to be, the B to D is a minor third instead of a D sharp, which would be a major third. And then the B to the F, that is a diminished 5th. When it's 5th, when we talk about 5th, we either call them a perfect 5th, a diminished 5th, or an augmented 5th. B to F natural is a diminished 5th. B to F sharp, or pardon me, B to F flat, B, C, D, E, F. B, C, D, E, F. Yeah, that's weird. So B to F is a diminished fifth. B to F sharp is a perfect fifth. Okay. Whew, glad we got that out of the way. My music theory knowledge is not perfect, but I do know enough so I can explain, hopefully, how to understand key signatures. But frankly, the 7 chord, I'm going to have to worry about that very much. So that's how the chords work in a key, right? The 1 chord is major, the 2 chord is minor, the 3 chord is minor, the 4 chord is major, the 5 chord is major, the 6 chord is minor, and the 7th chord is diminished. Now, when you see a song, if the 1 chord isn't telling the story, if the 1 chord just isn't quite telling you the correct story, then you need to look at all the chords in the song, right? You need to look at all the chords in the song. So, and then once you look at all the chords in the song, you fit them into a little, which is the 1 chord, which is the 4 chord, which is the 5 chord. So let's say the song starts in, here's a good example because this is often one that people get wrong. Let's say you have a song that goes from D to C. You might think, oh, that's in the key of D, but it's not. It's actually in the key of G. Because look, if we say, let's say we look at it, first of all, remember I'm doing a D chord, a C chord, and a G chord, all major chords, right? All major chords, D chord, C chord, G chord, all major. So that means presumably, unless they're being like Nirvana and going wacky out of your normal, typical key signatures, which Nirvana did a lot. They did like crazy stuff, and you had to be clever to understand exactly how to play in the right key with Nirvana. Or you had notes that were sort of, that would sound bad until they resolved to the next chord. So D, C to G, all 3 major chords, but it's not in the key of D. Because look, if we go, so what you have to figure out is which is the 1 chord, which is the 4 chord, which is the 5 chord. So you have D. D's the 1. Let's say we decide we say, well, is D the 1 chord in the key of C in a song where we go D, C, and G? Is D the 1 chord? D, yes. Okay, let's say D is the 1 chord. Well, is G the 4 chord? D, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah, G's the 4 chord. Wait, does that mean we're in the key of D? D, E, F, G, A. Nope, we're not, because the A is the 5 chord, and the C chord is the 7 chord. A 7 chord would never be major. So therefore, when you're basing it on the chords, the C chord couldn't possibly be you couldn't possibly be in the key of D because you have that C chord, which is a major chord. So then you switch over. Let's try C. Well, C. If C's the 1 chord, then, well, wait a minute. C, D, E, F, G. G is the 5 chord, so that it's got a C and it's got a G. That could work, right? But wait, D is the 2 chord. A 2 chord is supposed to be minor. So you can't be in the C. You can't be in the key of C because D is a major chord. But let's try G. If G is the 1 chord, then G, A, B, C, C's the 4 chord, G, A, B, C, D, D is the 5 chord. So searching for the 1, the 4, and the 5 is a great technique to figure out what key you're playing in. Okay? Now, let's talk about where that's I think a great overall way to understand is just find the 1, 4, 5. Or beyond that, figure out, once you find the 1, 4, 5, then check and see what the other chords are. Like say your song is A minor, A minor, F, C, G. A lot of songs, famous progression. Well, okay, so I just realized, so this brings you into the minor key. So that was maybe not, let's not do that. Let's not do that example right now because I haven't gotten into minor keys yet because it's different in minor keys. So let's do the major, the relative major to A minor, which we're going to talk about in a minute as well. And that's C, G, A minor, F. this is the 4 chords that killed rock and roll. 1, 5, 6, 4. Now, so you've got the C, which is the 1 chord, C, D, E, F. F you got as the 4 chord, G is the 5 chord, and then A minor is the 6 chord. That works as a perfect key of C because the 6 chord is always minor. So that's kind of the way you look at that. Now, the next little issue that comes up is that not all songs are going to be in the key of C. And which means you have to know what chords are sharp. You have to know what notes in a key are going to be sharp, or what notes, like if you have let's say you're in a song and it says, let's see, what's a good example? Let's go to A. And you've got an F sharp minor and an E. Like you don't have the D in there, so you're not sure if it's 1, 4, 5. You don't have a 4 chord. So you're like, wait a minute, where's the 4 chord here, right? It goes from A to F sharp minor to E. Well, in that case, you're like, well, you need to understand that in the key of A, F is sharp. And A, B, C, D, E, F, F is the minor, is the 6th chord, which means it's minor. So you do need to have an understanding of what notes are sharp in what keys, or flat in what keys, which brings me to this. Now, unfortunately, in my current iteration of the book, I do not have a page on the circle of fifths. Now, in this book, I called it the Oracle of Fifths because I was trying to go for this sort of mystical quality. And so I called it the Oracle of Fifths. This is a previous edition of the book. Maybe in a future edition, I'm going to return this. I'm going to have a page on the circle of fifths and how I use it. But suffice it to say, I called it the Oracle of Fifths just for fun. It's the same thing. It's the circle of fifths. And the way that I personally like to use the circle of fifths is as a cheat to always know what notes are sharp or flat in a key, in any given key. Because the circle of fifths has a nice little trick that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. Well, I don't know. I don't scour the internet hearing what everyone has to say about the circle of fifths. So I don't really know if people talk about this a lot. But it is a little cheat to help you figure out what notes are sharp and what are flat in any given key. And it's all right there in the circle of fifths. You don't even have to memorize it. It's right there. So now, let's see. I'm gonna just assume that this is kind of close enough to see. So in the circle of fifths, it's the circle of keys, and it has it's got the major keys. And when it goes in this direction, which is to the right, they go up in fifths. So the first key in the circle of fifths is C. The second key to the right is G, then D, then A, then E, then B, and then F sharp. Okay? So the key of C has no sharps, no flats. The key of G has 1 sharp, and that sharp is F. The key of D has 2 sharps, and those sharps are F sharp and C sharp. The key of A has 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. Now, what's the pattern? Well, one thing, and I have to quickly explain one more thing before I show you the cool little trick. If you go to the left on the circle of fifths, you go up, you go in fourths, because that's the thing. A fifth, the opposite of a fifth is a fourth. It's the old number 9 trick, right? All multiples of 9, if you add them up, they equal 9, right? Well, it's the 9 trick. So C to G, C, E, F, G, C, D, E, F, G. Fifth, G to C, G, A, B, C. Fourth. It works that way, right? So when the circle of fifths goes this way, it's fourths. When it goes this way, it's fifths. So if you go over 1 to the left, then the next key that way is the key of F. And that way, that's when you start talking about what they call the subdominant keys, which are the flat keys. But anyway, so Key of C, all natural notes. Key of G, F sharp only. Key of D, F sharp, C sharp. Key of A, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. Key of E, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Key of B, F sharp, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp. See how that works? So you can use the circle of fifths. You can kind of work it in your head to figure out, without having to memorize the notes, the sharps in every key, what that is. Now, on the guitar, when it comes to playing a scale, you don't really need to memorize the notes, right? Because it's all shapes, right? But as I said, to understand how key signatures work, and to know what key you're in, you need to know what notes in a key are sharp or flat if you're in a flat key. Yeah? Fabulous. Okay. Now let's look at the trick going the other way. So if you go to the left, the first key to the left, the subdominant key is F. F has one flat, B flat. The next key is B flat. B flat has two flats, B flat, E flat. The next key is E flat. E flat has three flats, B flat, E flat, A flat. The next key is A flat. A flat has four flats, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. Now, let's look at the trick. Once again, we've got a nice little easy trick. One flat in the key of F, B flat. Two flats in the key of B flat, E flat. Three flats in the key of E flat, B flat, E flat, A flat. Four flats in the key of A flat, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. See? So it's a little trick where you can use the circle of fifths to help you memorize or just help you remember what notes are in any key. Yeah? But as I said, of course, memorizing what notes are in the key can be very helpful. Oh, and one other, okay, let's get to the next part though. Let's get back to the other part. We're not going to go over minor keys right now because you can get my book and learn more about minor keys. I'm giving you sort of a primer to help you understand how to find what key you're in. But I'm going to tell you a trick. So, every minor key has a relative major key, and every major key has a relative minor key, which means it's the exact same key, exact same notes, different tonic. So I'm going to show you how that works right now. So, that's kind of washed out. I wish that wasn't washed out. Let's see if I can get it standing up straighter or move it back a little. See if I do that. Maybe that helps a little bit. So, watch. So, if I play the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and I start on an A, I'm in the key of A minor. I'm in the key of A minor. If I play those same notes, but instead of going from A to A, I go C to C, it sounds like this. Do, re, mi, major. I'm in the key of C major. So, if you are in a major key, the relative minor key is always, it starts on the sixth degree of the key. C, D, E, F, G, A. The sixth degree of C is an A. So the relative minor key of C major is A minor. Vice versa, if you're in a minor key, the relative major key starts on the third degree of the minor key, A, B, C. Right? C major is, and once again, you've got the trick of 9. 6 plus 3 is 9. So the sixth of a major key, so let's say key of A. A, B, C, sharp, D, let's do G. G, E, F, sharp, G, A, B, C, sharp, no, C, D, E, F, sharp, G. There's your notes, right? So G, A, B, C, D, E. E minor, I dropped my pick. E minor is the relative minor key to G major. That's the sixth. E, F, G. The third of E minor is the relative major key, which is the G, which is G major. The third, yes? So the 6th degree of the major key is the relative minor, same notes, different tonic. The 3rd degree of the minor key is the relative major, same notes, different tonic. Okay, that can be helpful if you're in a minor key and you don't want to you've memorized. You listen to this live and you memorized the chords of a major key. You know all the chords of the major key. You know what the one chord. You know the one chord's major. You know the 4 chords minor. You know the 4 chords major. You know the 5 chords major. The 6th chord is minor. Blah blah blah. You know all that in the major key, but you don't know that in the minor key. Well, so you look at a song and you're like, wait a minute, it's A minor, F, C, G. It starts with A minor. It sounds like a minor-y song. Well, look at that. F, C, and G. You've got C, F, and G, which is the 1, 4, and 5 in the key of C major, which means, so you can say, oh, well, wait a minute. If those 3 chords fit as the 1, 4, 5 in C major, then I must be in A minor because A minor is the relative minor of C major. So that's one little trick you can use. Or you can just memorize the chords of the minor key and which are which. Now, how to find the key of the scale you're playing in. So in my book, I talk about the pentatonic scale because it's a good starting point. So if you are in A minor, well, so let me put it this way. If the song you're playing in is a minor chord, is in a minor key, then you simply play your main pentatonic scale and you find that note. So if it's B minor, you just find the B on the 6th string, which is the 7th fret. You need to know the notes of your strings. E, F, F sharp G, G sharp A sharp B, C, C sharp D, D sharp E. You need to know those notes, right? So you go to B, which is your B minor, and then you play the B minor pentatonic scale. Or if you know the diatonic scale, you can play the B minor diatonic scale. Right? You play the diatonic B minor. So, but here's a little trick. If it's a major scale, well, let's say the song is in a major key, which a lot of songs are, but you haven't learned your 5 forms yet. You've only learned the one box. You're still trapped in the pentatonic box, but you desperately want a solo and you're in a major key, and the minor pentatonic scale just doesn't sound good. Sometimes it does. In rock and roll or blues, you can often play the minor pentatonic scale over the major key. Like you can play an A minor pentatonic scale over a song in A major. You see that in the solo for Wild Thing, for example. They solo in A minor, or in the A minor pentatonic, even though the song is in A major, because it's A, D, E, 1, 4, 5, A major. And you can do that in rock and roll, and it's done all the time. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes the major chord, the major tonality of the song is spelled out too clearly that if you try and solo in the minor key, it sounds so good. Okay? So you have to know the major key, but you only know one scale. You only know your form 1 pentatonic scale. What are you going to do? Here's a trick. You go to that form, and first of all, you got to find the note. So let's say you're in the key of C major. Well, you find C. C is the 8th fret of the 6th string. There's your C. Well, guess what you do there, bud? You put your pinky on there. And then you work backwards, get your first finger into place as your normal pentatonic scale. So if your pinky on this top string of your pentatonic scale is on the 8th fret, then your first finger should naturally go to the 5th fret. So now you're in the key of C. Now, you don't necessarily want to start the scale on the A. You might have to tweak a little bit what notes you're going to start on. But that's the little trick. Find the note with your pinky. So let's try a different one. Let's try the key of D. The song's in D major, but you only know your pentatonic scale, number 1 pentatonic scale, which is the minor pentatonic. Well, you find the note D, 10th fret. There's your D. Stick your pinky on the 10th fret. Work your way backwards. 9th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret. Oh, there goes your first finger on the 7th fret. And you play your pentatonic scale in that position. you are now in the key of B minor. Or D major, sorry, D major. And B minor is the relative minor. Of course, the other trick, if you don't want to use the pinky trick, is knowing what the relative minor key to the major key is, right? So if the key is in G major, and you know, wait, G, A, B, C, D, E, E minor, E minor. E minor is the relative minor key to G major. So that means if I solo in the key of E minor, and the song is in the key of G major, then I am in the right key. So boom. So there's your little tricks. There's some tricks to get that right. Yes? Some tricks to get that right. All right, let's see. Is there anything else? Anything else I want to talk about? So I'm going to take a break because I'm feeling a little winded. I'm Anthony Parker, once again, Near Life Experience. This is my guitar instruction book, the Rock Heroz guitar instruction book. And that's what we're talking about, some of the pages that help you learn about, playing in the right key. Yes? AnthonyParkerEXP.com is where you can get the book both as a PDF or as a physical copy. PDF doesn't have shipping and is a tiny bit cheaper because I don't have to cover the cost to print it. So that's a good thing. You can do that if you want, or you can just buy a physical copy. A lot of people really love a physical copy. And as I said, it's got a page specifically on finding the right key. And then that refers you to the back of the book where you look more into the notes of specific key signatures, so you can understand how the different key signatures work, and know what chords are in them, and better know how to find what key you want to play in. Now, as far as the diatonic scales goes, well, it's the same concept, right? So let's say you're in A minor and you want to play a diatonic, you want to play an A minor scale. Of course, my suspicion is that most of you, if you're at the point where you're playing actual diatonic scales and not just pentatonic, a lot of you probably already know what your how to find what key you're in. But in case you don't, you just go to the same spot, right? A minor. Right? You're right there. And then if you want to be in C major, right? You can kind of use the same thing. Put your pinky there, but then you got to play the major scale. I'm guessing if you know diatonic scales, you don't just know the minor scale or just the major scale. Hopefully you know both the major and the minor. I would call that the minimum necessary, is to know the major scale and the minor scale. Now, my book has a system for the modes, all 7 modes. But real quick, let me show you the major scale, minor scale, in case you want proof that I've got the goods. Here's the minor scale. One of the things I love about the minor scale is you can just place it right in the same place as your pentatonic scale, as your main pentatonic, right? Right? There's your minor scale. And then, page right before it. Now, mind you, this is just one way to play it. There are other systems. Sometimes I think I maybe should have used the cage system, but I don't use it personally. I use a different system for my major modes. But a lot of people love caged. Right? So here's the major scale. I actually have it written out in G. I have it tabbed out. By the way, this little thing at the bottom says, see the tutorial at canonguitar.com. Ignore that. None of the books that are going out have that on it. I've eliminated that. That was my old website. When I first wrote this book, I had my old website at the bottom, and I had planned to put video tutorials out there that I never put out there. Sometimes you know, your mouth writes checks that your butt can't handle, if you know what I mean. And that was one of them. But there you go. So ignore that. You won't see that. But on here, forget. It won't be in your book if you order it, or the PDF. So let's see. That's about it as far as that goes. And I think I've been on this live for about 45 minutes. So let's see if there's any Any jumping questions out there? Love your teaching. Bro, I know like 2 scales. I don't know what I'm doing here. Well, that's a start. 2 is more than a lot of people. 2 is more than a lot of people. Twitch. I should try Twitch. Hey, Mario Pastorino. How you doing? Sorry to interrupt. Finally understood. Thank you for doing this. You're welcome, Rick. How do you find the lock? How do you find the lock? I don't know what that means. On the door, maybe? Just reading some. Ooh, Sacramento, Deborah. Sacramento. I'm from Sacramento. That's where I grew up. If you're still watching. Probably not, but you never know. Just saying hi to people before I go. Hi from California. Yep, I'm from California too, Rick Stickman. Let's see. I'm looking for questions to see if there's any other questions. Come to Jesus and be saved. Right on. How you doing, James Tippins? Yeah. Jesus. All good. Love your teaching and explaining. Thank you. Plus, you're awesome when you're playing. In case you didn't know, my goal is to get you playing your guitar. Just to inspire you. You know, I can be kind of... I try to make my videos more entertaining than instructional a little bit. However, FYI, I forgot to mention this. If you want things that are more instructional, my Patreon community, that's where I post exclusive material that is more specifically instructional. I also post my main videos, ad-free versions of my long-form videos that you see on YouTube and Facebook. The long-form where the ad literally interrupts the video. I post those as ad-free videos on my Patreon as well. Let's see. This guy loves talking. Well played. I'm not going to read that out loud because I don't want to get, What will the book talk about? Your little tricks and ideas to learning these things like you did today. You give us little tricks starting with the pinky. Yes, I was literally going straight from the book. You got me playing Interstate Love Song. Right on, Nick D. Awesome. Okay, well, I don't see any specific questions. Just ordered the book. Right on, Scott. Thank you. Like to hear that. So I'm gonna log off now, guys. So just one last time, plug the book. Anthony, the Rock Heroz Guitar Instruction Book is available on AnthonyParkerEXP.com. This is the book right here. People or someone on Instagram land is sending a request to be in the video, but I do not go with those because you can get in trouble that way. I did that once, and it was a couple scammers trying to mess me up. Rock Heroz, the guitar instruction book for the beginning to advanced guitarist. There's some debate as to whether it's for advanced guitarists, but I think the modes are advanced. I think learning the modes is an advanced skill that most guitarists don't have. So that is an advanced skill. And I think some of the rhythm guitar concepts I have are, I would call them advanced, though some call them intermediate. There is so much disagreement. So, you can take that with a grain of salt. Or you can just buy the book because you want it as a merch memento of me, of my channel. Now, I got more merch coming out. I'm going to have a t-shirt. I'm going to have picks. Guitar picks are coming. They're being shipped. It takes forever. It takes like 5 weeks or something for the pick. I ordered them a couple weeks ago, but actual guitar picks with my logo, with the Near Life Experience logo on it, they're coming. I can't wait. I'm going to be selling packs of 12. And yeah, so those picks are coming. And then a shirt that I'm not going to disclose what the shirt's going to be, but there's a shirt coming somewhat soon. And then I've got some other ideas in the works, some other things pondering. So we have some more merch for people to get. Thank you again for everybody who's bought the book already. AnthonyParkerEXP.com. You can get the physical copy. You can get the PDF download. Alrighty, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and hopefully you found this video informative.